Orange juice is the way, guys.
And here we go. Welcome, guys. Appreciate you coming. Trying to get things started here. Running just a little bit late. Had some issues we kind of ran into. Just trying to get everything set up. So how's everyone doing tonight? Good? Excited? Get your
Yeah, of
Zedus
course.
and Andaria's to 7-star yet?
Hell yes, we
No.
are.
Nobody did?
Get on
Got
it, man.
Oh, come on. I've already
gotta
got my
get my
Zedus
metal
up.
mimic.
I've already got my Zedus up. Aria,
Jay got
she's
his
coming along.
7.
I got Zedus. Alright.
You got who?
I got Zedus to 7-star, but I haven't got Andarian.
Okay, yeah, I've got a double sphere mine. I'm trying to get that one set up. So I know a lot of you guys have probably already looked at that. You know, there's quite a few reviews that are kind of out right now already as far as the skills and things like that. One of the big things that that we're kind of looking at, especially with right now, with the adjustments that they're making for a lot of the SBS units, we're seeing a huge increase in the overall potential for a lot of these units to pretty much edge out some of the current metas that we've been looking at. Just to kind of give you guys a look here, for those of you guys that don't know, everyone that's kind of joining us right now, we are pretty much going to be kind of going through looking at all of this stuff for everything in game, pretty much for the things that Zedus can offer for your parties, things that Andaria can offer, kind of how they are currently fitting in with the game. And this is concerning global, for those of you guys that play global, and just to kind of make sure that we can kind of give a good overview so you guys have a solid idea of kind of what to expect from each one of these units. Now, you know, obviously, you know, there's a lot of flack that some of these units have been getting, mostly Andaria, just because of, you know, I think a lot of people have kind of gotten used to things like Xenia and Trident pretty much kind of changing the whole gameplay of everything on Brave Frontier. So, wanted to kind of ask you guys here, what's your stance on kind of what you guys have seen so far, and the things that you guys have seen for both Aurelia and also for Zedus?
Who are you asking?
Any of you
Oh,
guys?
they're asking if you're
Max,
gonna play.
you got something, Jay? Guys have got things set up.
Oh. Well,
I've heard a lot of people saying that Andaria is not a good unit. Apparently, they're saying that the hype that surrounds her is a lot bigger than it actually is. But honestly, she's a perfectly viable sub-unit. And she has great slot efficiency, and she brings a lot of BC gen to the game. So if you need that, she's definitely the unit you want.
Yeah, no, I've got her.
yeah, sub-unit, because, you know, her leader skills kind of...
I've got her stuff pulled up
It
here
kind of
right
sucks,
now.
but
If you kind of take a look at this, basically
you
we're
know.
looking for Radius Andaria, Andaria's 7-star form. Right now for leader skill, we're looking at 20% critical chance, pretty much the same as Trident. That's kind of what everybody's you know, been kind of used to by now. The only issue with that is, you know, you don't have the defensive capabilities with pretty much the majority of these SBS units. You're not getting the increase to defense. You're not getting the HP boosts, and you know, that's a big thing that's been kind of coming into play here recently. But you do have, on top of that, you get the 15 to 20% BB cashback, which that's essentially after you use. I think that one's actually after you use the BB, SBB, whatever, you actually get a return from that. Very similar to things like Fadal. Just kind of comes to mind for one of the recent ones where essentially you can use a BB. Helps to kind of boost up, fills you back up a little bit. It helps you kind of maintain that a little better. Then you've got the 20% BB cost reduction. You know, pretty standard for most BB leads for what you kind of see. Nothing really too special. But you know, again, you know, especially with her being kind of a more BB fill slot, that does help out a pretty good bit. So you know, with just the leader skill, you know, it does look like she has a lot of things that she can offer in terms of BC gen and things like that, and kind of offering that up. How about you, Max? What have you seen for Andaria so far?
He can't speak.
Okay. How about you, Jay?
Mute right now. Well, are you saying the actual just generally, or just her leader skill?
Oh, I've got the stats pulled up here. I'm sure you've probably already looked at her, at least some of her stuff, for her Brave Burst and Super Brave Burst, that kind of stuff. What's your take on that?
Yeah. Well, everyone's like bashing her about her extra skill with how when she equips the bow, she gets a 40% HP, 40% attack, and then she gets 2 to 3. She adds 2 to 3 BC when hit, so it kind of like it overlaps with people like Rivera, Medina, Bestie, and that's obviously I don't want 2 to 3 BCs like rather than 5 to 7. But, I mean, it's not bad considering you have to use Rivera or Best's Super Brave Burst to get it. She can use her Brave Burst and get the 2 to 3, so you can just fill up. And then maybe the next turn you use Rivera's Super Brave Burst to, like, overwrite.
So
but
if you
I
were,
honestly, I'm going to use her
to choose
a lot.
between Andaria or Bestie, which one do you think that you potentially would slot in, and depending on your team composition, and why would you do that? It seems like she's really filled, like she can pretty much fill a lot of the things that Bestie currently does. Minus the exception of on her Brave Burst adding the beat, like pretty much the instant increase to a BB gauge.
Well, are you saying to use one or the other, or use their Brave Burst like?
No, I'm saying if you were faced between using Andaria or Bestie, what would pull you to use Andaria?
Her capability of pure and null, which is very helpful.
Honestly, Andaria is great for any low BC gen teams. So I guess Bestie, if like it's paired with, I don't know, something like Trident or Deimos, I'd slot in Andaria, but it definitely depends on who you're using as a leader.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've noticed something too.
But I mean, Bestie has
what I have seen is that with having Bestie in your group, a lot of other people now. This is kind of one issue that I personally have had with Andaria is, there are a lot of current meta units that are in heavy use right now that, essentially kind of makes having that status cleansing and null pretty useless. I mean, you have LMO with her, constant cleanses. On top of that, she's not an attacker, she's not a sparker. You don't have to worry about, having to match hers and like wait for, pretty much anything. As long as she has the protection, she can get the cleanse off, it's great. Now, obviously, it comes into play if a unit gets cursed. If a unit gets cursed, you're going to have some issues. you know, especially if you're relying on that BB fill on hit kind of thing. So for curse heavy issues, you know, something that, you know, with prevention might be a little better than Elmo in this instances, at least for me. You know, then again, you've got Cannon, you've got Melchio, you have, you know, several of these other units that, you know, that are still have solid places in current meta that essentially already take care of these things that, you know, she already does. Now, the added effect that she has with her skill there, you can kind of see for the basically invalidate status elements for 3 turns, cure stats debuffs, but also gives you a 50% paralysis and a 70% poison. Now that is really good, you know, especially for those instances that where you're coming into a trial. You know, Carl X comes to mind whenever you guys are going through and pretty much having to fight multiple enemies, you know, especially on Lagina's trial, when you have when you're going for your Sky Harbingers, keeping paralysis stuck on Lagina, and you know, or, basically trying to kind of dampen that damage that you're taking so much that it can kind of help you progress a little bit further without having too many issues. So, me personally, I think that she would feel better if things like that are needed in kind of a more defensive capacity. I don't really feel that she secures a niche right now that isn't already covered by, you know, a lot of other units. You know, obviously great to have, you know, a BB filler to kind of like a side grade, you know, essentially the bestie. You know, absolutely wonderful if you don't already have one. If you do, though, I don't know. I kind of feel like there's other options that you might have available.
But if you're using Expo right now, definitely replace him with Andaria if you have her.
That is true. Yeah, if you're kind of banking on him, I haven't, like, to be honest, I haven't really played with any of his 7-star stuff too much. What's kind of the like, if you were to run kind of a comparison between the two, what would you do? Mira, did you hear what I was saying?
You asking to compare? Oh, yeah, Mira.
Did you hear what I was saying, Mira?
Mira.
If you were to run a comparison between Xfel and Andaria, what would you probably say is the biggest difference between the two, if any?
Well, Expo and Andaria are both BC Gen units. It's just one is drastically better than the other. And in this case, her slot efficiency comes in much better use. So, as well as... And of course you have the status cleanse that Expo does not have.
Okay, so Xfel does not have the status cleanse, you said?
I don't believe so.
He does.
Oh, crap. Been doing homework, I'm sorry.
So, well, you know...
Exfil is only good for the, you know, the HP. Something that Andaria does not have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And, you know, that is one thing I was kind of missing.
But, like, you know, not the whole team.
I really wish that we had that, you know, especially with, you know, I mean, not that they're not strong enough as it is, but, you know, I'm kind of missing that HP on the leads.
Yeah. This is the meta of HP leads anyways. Kinda.
So outside of that, you know, we've definitely kind of looked at a lot of things that Andaria has. What would you guys say are probably her biggest strengths and biggest weaknesses right now?
Well, her weaknesses are leader skill.
Yeah. A lot of people
really just
extra skill.
They just tossed in like whatever they wanted. Like yeah,
The
all
leader skills use literally like.
What do you guys think would probably have slotted him better for that?
What?
thing.
Wait, what do you ask?
I said, what do you guys think would have slotted better for that leader skill?
If she had HP.
Like
Yeah.
just HP, and she would have been perfect?
Instead of crit.
Because you're
But
pretty much saying
would
that
be like a
nothing
best
else would have
move,
mattered.
Anything without that crit is pretty much, I think, doesn't suit her at all.
That crit is literally like, why? I guess it's like a
Just
trademark
I don't know. Who knows?
between the.
Yeah, there's all of them. The Soulbound Saga, almost all of them has crit except for Aurelia, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't have Aurelia. A dog wants to come in the room. Hold on.
Well, you know, it sounds like.
Oh,
Yes,
come on. That's
yes,
like,
yes, please.
that's
yes,
a
please.
complete
Yes,
destruction
yes,
of
Everybody
Andaria.
is excited about Zedus here. Let's take a look.
Oh.
Okay, so for leader skill, Imperator Zedus, or however else you want to say it.
Beautiful thing.
Leader skill, 150%
Zeus.
critical damage, 80% spark damage, 20% critical rate. Ah. Wow, that in itself is just... Wow. Brave Burst, 350%, Thunder Light,
if Raga
AoE.
and Kira had a baby.
Exactly.
Oh God.
Well, let's see, because you know, I would probably, especially as a crit lead, I would probably say if Raga and Griff had a baby, this is what it would turn out to be, with like Kira kind of sneaking in there at night. So we've got the let me see. Brave Burst, 350% Thunder Light Elemental AoE. Let me see. The 70% spark damage for 3 turns, so that immediately puts you at 150% spark damage with that BB burst. And that's just with the Brave Burst, mind you. And you also get the 50% elemental weakness damage. It has its uses. It has its place with some things. Not always going to, you see it very heavy on Kira leads for things like FH, which is, pretty much outside of cheesing some trials. It's all it gets used for anyway. But again, it's a free skill that you get. That it's just there, just like, hey, you know what? Just because we're gonna give this to you. So I don't know. Personally, I will never turn down any kind of spark damage. It's the thing with that is it's a one hit, if I recall correctly. Very, very low hit counts for both Zedus and Andaria.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, the Brave Burst itself isn't really too amazing, but it is a spark damage buff. It's something that's there. It gives him a little extra utility, which pretty much goes for just about every BB now. So thankfully, the damage on that is still pretty hefty for a Brave Burst sitting at 350%. So that does kind of help. Super Brave Burst, 500% Thunder Light AoE, 80% spark damage for 3 turns. That immediately puts you at 160% spark damage, which I believe is roughly about 20% over Roa's with his procs landing, which I think, if I remember right, puts you around 140%. On top of that, you've also got your 50% crit damage for 3 turns, minus 50% attack and defense, 50% chance for 1 turn on the mob. Now,
it's just ridiculous.
I'm sorry. Anybody that's saying that
Okay,
Zedus is
that
nothing
attack
special
down
right
is
now,
serious.
you guys are outside of your minds. That is insane. You have got a unit that fills full crit, full spark, and gives you an attack and defense reduction at a 50% rate for a 50%. That is insane. I have not seen anything this strong for a while. Okay, now if you're looking at, like, you know, obviously you've got others like Ruby, you know, you can use her for a spark blanket. You've got her, you know, attack down, you know, injury like out the wazoo. That's awesome. That's great. But you don't always have the slots to fit her in, because you're usually running, you know, 2 separate leads at this point, which is, you know, your critical buffer and a spark buffer. I mean, that's just it. That's what pretty much everybody's doing. If you have all of that rolled into one unit,
Yeah.
I have a question.
That's some huge potential. What do you guys think on that? We'll kind of go over the UBBs here in a little bit.
Hey, Red.
I have a question.
What's up?
Do the attack down, do they stack with other attack downs?
Because attack down is its
I think
own
just injury will stack with.
Everything else, no, it's
Yeah.
so,
to be fair, Zedus has his strength, but he's kind of a squishy unit.
I like Zedus though.
he is pretty squishy. You know, he definitely could use a little more boosts. Let me in fact, I'll go ahead and pull us in here. Go ahead and take us in live. Let me go ahead and look at this. Let's see. I've already got Zedus up here. Now, just sitting with Impiety and the Sky Harbinger. Now, this is one thing that I will say, you know, we're not quite looking at right yet. We don't have their spheres. We don't know exactly what we're going to be looking at as far as kind of a boost to you know, pretty much any of their stats. It could very well be that Zedus gets some huge increases off of some of his BC or his sphere effects. You will see too extra skill, kind of the standard 20% boost to all parameters. But his extra skill, this is pretty much his selling point, is that it adds critical hit rate crit rate boost to BB and SBB for 3 turns. So pretty much, whether or not you use his BB or his SBB, you get the same increase in your crit rate, which is great. Most of the times, you know, you're looking at variance, and okay, it's only going to add so much crit rate if you do your BB. You know, if you're in a really clutch fight and you're like, I gotta really hold off until he gets, you know, his SBB and this fills. It's gonna be kind of rough. But with this, it pretty much takes that away. You know, if you've got your full-time crit buffer, that's gonna pretty much you know, kind of pull through everything. I mean, with that, you know, even then, like, looking at his base stats here, you know, attack, he's got 6.6k attack right now with a Impiety and Sky Harbinger, and he's only level 15, mind you. 7.6k HP. And yeah, no imps, no levels at all. He's still pretty high up there. You know, the wreck, obviously, for you know, for an anima unit as a 7-star, it's hurting pretty bad. I'm kind of curious to see. I'll have to kind of get him leveled up, just to kind of see how well that's going to affect his base stats and how much of a boost we might be looking at. So probably look at it, you know, probably around 800 to 1,000 roughly. So I don't know. Max, can you talk now? Are you good?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Fan wants in.
And is Fan here? Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Max, how about you? Go ahead and give us
He has a strong view on Zedus, actually.
What's that?
Who? Fan?
You gotta approve him.
Okay. Max, go ahead and tell us what you've got on Zedus so far.
I mean, what is there? What can you not love about him? He's like full offensive, the debuff. He dual element, the dual element, all brave bursts, big multipliers. So tons of damage. I mean, what's not to love? We just gotta wait for the spear, you know.
True. How else have
big hitter?
Like what have you guys seen as far as kind of his advantages over some of the other units?
Amazing.
He makes bad guys go boom.
What was that?
So what have you guys seen as far as Zedus's
I mean,
advantages
just his
over
leader
other
skill
units?
alone. Oh, yeah. Leader skill alone gives all units 30% crit, and then combine the reverse and everything, just so much damage.
It really is. Max, how about you, buddy? You hear us all right?
I just said that. I was the one who just talking, man.
Oh, was it? I couldn't even see you talking.
You can talk about Fan.
Yeah, it really is a lot that he's kind of added. Don't really know how much of that is gonna you know, kind of play a part later on. You know, especially with this, you know, we do already have a lot of critical leads. Now, Griff obviously does have, you know, a huge advantage, and you know, Reese as well. When you're looking at your BC generation through a critical team, it does kind of add in, you know, a little bit of a difference on that. So, let's see, Mira, how have you? You haven't really said too much about Zedus here. Do you have one? Have you picked one up yet?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have. I'm animating for his 7-star right now.
Get on it.
I'm really excited about that.
What are you waiting for?
Get on it.
What are you waiting for? Get on.
Super on. I'm as on points. See my friend, guys.
You did what?
Send me on points. I can send for you. Immerse on me.
No, send her karma. That's all she loves.
He loves karma.
Send karma.
You. Do I really?
All you're gonna get is karma.
I'd rather have the gel.
Well, you know what? One thing that I have seen.
I mean, I'm still trying to love mine.
You know,
I think one of the hardest things so far.
Sorry, go ahead. I
think one thing I've had a lot of trouble with so far is team composition, because I really want to place him with Xenia because the damage would be off the charts, but damage means nothing. They can't survive past their sound, whatever level. So I honestly tankier units better with him. My bad. But so honestly, I'm not entirely sure which ones to place it in.
I don't really understand what you were saying.
You're saying Zedus is that squishy?
squishy enough that you don't want to stick him with Xenia.
Yeah, that's true. Especially if you're looking at a dual lead role, you know, you're not going to have anything to kind of move in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of help that out. So yeah, I could definitely see that. But what I am a little concerned though.
Well,
You know,
I'll
just
usually
because we are.
have.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know who's talking. You have Ace.
Okay.
So, I would with Trident slash,
Deimos?
I don't think Ban can. What? No, I'd rather go with Trident and Xenia. Okay, duo amazing. You have your
Well,
survivability,
of course,
and then you
they're
have
like
your
the dream team.
nuke. But you, of course, you have
But
to be
Zedus
supportive of
is-
your sub-units or whatever.
Honestly, if you want a high damage unit to pair with Zedus, Roa would probably be your best bet.
I write in.
He's... Sorry?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What? I'm so confused right now.
Go ahead.
Just keep
Let's
talking.
go.
Anyways,
Be-
Roa has
Take-
his
go ahead. Just go ahead.
30%
Just do it.
HP bonus. Alright, calm. But Roa has his 30% added HP, so there's that. So it adds a little more cushioning to Zedus. And he's also really high damage, so if you want an alternative to Xenia, use Roa. And Griff, like we've talked about,
I forgot
like...
Row existed
I guess.
because you know Xenia.
He also goes really well with Griff as well. I really like team compositions, I'm sorry. But,
That's fun.
so we talked about how Zedus could be potentially an offspring of Griff and somebody else, I guess. And they actually go really well
Raga.
together.
Griffin
Ew.
Raga,
Okay, I don't
love
even know
child.
how that's gonna work, but...
Yeah, I've
And some other stuff
No,
overlaps.
Griff and Raga made a baby, which is
Griffin Raga had a baby.
That's interesting. That is an interesting notion.
Looks like somebody dropped off again here.
It was fun.
Well,
I
you
mean,
know, I think
if he had Red Skin, it would be better.
I think the you know definitely the huge thing about this he's got a pretty solid UVB. You know, I honestly I wouldn't really think that I'd use his over someone like Xenia's or some of the other alternatives, especially kind of some of the more defensive ones. The crit damage is great. Excuse me, but you know it only goes for so many different instances that you kind of run into, so it doesn't always
Oh,
work
yeah.
out too well.
There's a
GG.
crit resistant.
Right.
He's probably not going to be
I
using
don't think
raid.
GGC is I mean, I don't mind using him in raid because that, you know, that tag down and defense down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not the Ultra Bravers, but using him in raid, I wouldn't mind.
But he still has really strong subunit, even if you can't use him as leader.
Yeah. Yeah, he can be. Yeah, I've go ahead.
I wonder if Andaria and Zedus will work together.
If Andaria and Zedus.
I mean, she's BB.
Yeah, if they have
so...
like a synergy or something.
I don't
damage.
think so.
Yeah.
You get
You know,
infinite damage
well, let's
because
could try and see,
Mhm,
because you know, there's a lot of different combinations that, you know, obviously if you wanted to get her slotted in, you could. Me personally, you know, like I said, for status null leads, and let's kind of take a look here. Let me reposition this some. Right now, as far as the units, you know, let's just take a look just at our 7-star options right now, and these are just the ones that I have personally.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Adea. You know, as far as our you know, kind of the biggest right now, because she does have the cleanse on her BB and SBB, and the you know, pretty much everything that she offers. You've got Elmo. Let's see. Kind of going through the list. You've got Veltri, Veltri 7-star, Beartree. You know, he does that on top of his heals. You've got Cannon. You know, Cannon does both. You've got Melchio. Melchio does both. You've got Renon. You know, Renon does both of those. You know, and these are all in roles that pretty much cover areas that isn't covered currently. You know, it's either healer slots that you're gonna have to have anyway. For the instances where it really kind of matters. Outside of that, you know, you've got the... let's see. Everest does the cleanses and preventions as well. So yeah, I mean, we've got a ton of 7-star units right now that are like heavily used, that are just great units that, you know, kind of already offer that. So, you know, for her niche, in that, you know, it could probably open you up to use a different mitigator. Say if you wanted to use a 7-star Shira, you know, potentially we could see a lot more utilization for that in the future, where, you know, you want to have a mitigator that gives you a huge attack boost, something that, you know, you don't get from I think the biggest units right now for that are Totetsu for his attack bonus, and also for Arc. You know, Arc gives that boost to attack as well. You know, I'm sure there's some other units, you know, just kind of going through kind of the more heavier used units right now. I believe I think Hateron does too, doesn't he? Really haven't touched Hateron.
Oh. Yep.
have what?
The attack boost to units. I haven't brought him up any. I've got him 7-star, just haven't done too much work on him.
I thought he has. I think he gives that to himself though.
Is it just for himself?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just the crit is a team-wide,
So
everything
selfish.
else is him.
He's so selfish. What does he do?
No, he gives 120 defense to everyone too, right?
Gives 120... 120 defense, you said?
Yeah, defense to everyone.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, he does.
That's interesting.
60 crit all, and 120 defense all.
Well, you know, I have seen a lot of uses, you know, for some of these units. There have been some issues, you know, with kind of getting that to really mix up well with others, you know, as far as you know, kind of making things work for like synergy purposes and getting them to mesh well. So honestly, it really kind of depends on where you are at, I guess, on your team comps. You know, a lot of people do have, a lot of people have, you know, they've got some amazing units that pretty much can fill any role. You can come up with any combination of anything, and it works great. Outside of that, though, you do have, you know, people who are like starving for units. You know, I met somebody the other day that I think they were like level 150, and they still did not have a mitigator. still did not have a mitigator at level
Oh,
150,
no.
and I was like, "Oh, you poor
Ouch.
soul! How are you doing anything? How are you even level 150? How did you manage
I'd
that?"
quit.
You know, I mean, the fact is, you know, that
Applause to
they're
that person who made it this far.
but you know, the thing is, you know, we do have kind of a adjusted mindset from where we used to be. I've noticed that a lot of the players kind of their approach to things has been drastically different, just because they've run into you know, so many instances where, hey, you know, I finally have this awesome unit that does all these amazing things, and they get comfortable with that. New players that are coming in, they're like, oh, you have to have a mitigator to do this. You have to have this. And it's like, how did we ever play this game and survive without mitigators to begin with? But the thing was, you know, you have your defensives, and
I beat
you actually had to use healers. I mean, that was just it. You had to use healers.
That's when people use cures.
People use items now? What? That's a thing?
It's more than just
I can't
food
tell you
Oh
when
my
the last
God.
time I farmed for consumables was. It was a pretty long time ago.
What are Ares potions?
Fujin Frontier.
What are Ares
What are
potions?
stimulants?
Okay, now
What are
I haven't
stimulants?
used
What
are
any of
nullifiers?
those. I will say that much. I have not used any of those in a while.
Oh, Reggie.
In a
Yeah.
while.
Deimos. Deimos is just
That
the
one's cool.
key to everything.
Deimos is nice. But
See,
you
not
know,
the key to
I'd like to see
I don't know.
how
Deimos is the key to my heart.
I'd like to see how like with Zedus and Andaria, I do want to kind of play around with some builds to see how well I can, you know, kind of get those to mesh together with some of the other units. You know, unfortunately, I don't have a Aurelia. I was really hoping to play with that. You know, a lot of the conversions for some of that stuff, you know, it's a lot of potential there, I think.
I haven't had it really either.
Nope.
Like no one has Aurelia.
I mean, I just got Ultar, but you know. I
You did have what?
don't kind of rather have a demo Ultar.
Mm-hmm.
Altar.
Well, you know, I have noticed, you know,
Let's see what-
especially for some of the other units where, you know, you have some options. Melchio, you know, honestly, I do want to kind of play around with him some, just to kind of see how he fits in. But you know, again, you know, there's so many different options available right now. Different positions that, you know, it doesn't necessarily make units bad, but it does make them less than ideal when you have, you know, kind of an overflow of other units that take in, you know, kind of these positions. The biggest thing about that is, you know, basically you don't want to build your entire squad around one person, like around one character, unless they are just that retardedly good, and you like have to kind of build everything around them. And I kind of feel like in order for you to use Andaria, you have to build around her. Like you have to build around her as the base. You know, maybe that's just me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Right.
What's that?
Yeah, for sure.
She's basically
She's a-
mainly just BC gen. It makes sense for
I didn't hear
and
what
like
you said.
some
You
like
started
that.
breaking up.
You don't have the spark filter as a sub unit. You know, that's what hits. Hmm? Oh. Well, I heard Spark Squad.
What were you saying?
like a subunit, you know. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
She's
you.
a BC battery.
All I heard was just that as a subunit. You guys are kind of starting to break up pretty bad there.
User as a squad, like a semi-Spartan squad. Get all my SD, up the next turn.
You're breaking up, bruh.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just my internet. My internet sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
Hold on,
there's
I still
a
think
lot
it's
of
a little too
subunits.
early.
Sorry,
People
what was that?
have yet to experiment.
What'd you say?
People have to experiment. Y'all can't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
you now. Yeah.
Okay. Like I was saying, it's a little too people are meant to.
Mhm.
Oh, back when Zedus 6-star out, he got up it, but the 7-star era just started, so that's where he lost it. Right now, the Soulbound unit or Soulbound Saga units are in a very good spot right now, so we'll just have to see where they.
So do you think that these?
He did really like.
And
Do you think that these
Jalos.
are going to last for a while, as far as kind of the different soulbound units, like as far as their current position?
In general.
Yes, no. Any thoughts?
Well, I don't think Trident's ever gonna be not useful unless some unit comes out and is him basically a little bit better.
Right.
Yeah,
I
Trident's
stopped
gonna be
using
meta
Ultor.
now.
Yeah. I stopped using Ultor since I got Deimos. I don't know, that was a personal choice. I don't know how it reflects the rest of the Brave Frontier community. But I'm starting to find less uses for Girl. Aurelia, I don't have, I can't comment on her. Aurelia or well, they're really good units. We just gotta know how to use them. And no one's, like Jalen has said, we still gotta experiment and see what happens.
So what do you guys think right now, kind of with the utility for both of these? Were you guys happy? Were you like surprised at all by anything?
I
No.
thought Andaria's leader
Disappointed
skill
in
would be
I
Andaria.
knew
better.
they were gonna. I knew.
Disappointed with Andaria?
I knew Zedus was gonna be
And
a
Andaria
powerhouse.
is.
I knew Andaria was gonna be,
I kind of had a feeling Andaria wasn't really gonna be that much different, from what she had before.
I mean, when she first was released, it was the same thing,
Was it?
right?
I mean, yeah, that
That's what
was
that's
a
what I
while
heard.
ago, yeah.
When Andaria 6-star.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, they
I mean, no
there were
one
some
really
options with that.
experimented with it. They just said that she was, alright.
That she was what?
Cause like I'd rather use her, but that's my personal thing.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well,
But because
Her stats are just better overall.
yeah, Expel gives a 10% HP, but you have units like Trident that gives 40%, like it makes 10% looking like nothing.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think
So like in my own like squad set, I would use.
You
you would use?
Yeah.
And he starts texting.
Andaria.
Yeah, I still want to play around with her some. And, Itchy, I think I kind of agree with you. Especially just because, there's so many different BC fill units that we've already got. There's a lot of different options. I do think that if Andaria had that
Medina.
fill, like they said, well, you've got, yeah, like Medina's, it's, I mean, like, even outside of that, you've got, if you're having to bank on a fill on hit, chances are you're gonna be perfectly fine with something like a 25% drop rate, which you would get from someone like Will anyway. Which Will, if you guys haven't seen him or any of his amazingness, his unit is wow. I mean, it is insane. Like, just how much utility Will has. He's got the 180% damage increase to BBs, which is, that's only 20% under what you'd normally see from most of the other units. On top of that, his extra skill, which, by the way, you don't have to have the sphere equipped for him to have the add light element to everybody. Like, basically, it's just on his BB or SBB, it gives everybody a light element, which means you are guaranteed to be hitting 0, like, if you are awake against any kind of enemy, like, at all. It doesn't matter. It's a light retype. It covers everything, because light is strong against light or dark. So, for him having that, he's also got also got the heal over time. He's got the BC gen for 25 for heart crystals and battle crystals. His hit count on his SBB is, I want to say it's 35. A 35 hit count, which is top units right now as far as hit counts are.
Yeah, 35.
40. I mean,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. This guy is like a freaking powerhouse. Oh yeah, and he does have a spike kill. He has a spike kill on his BB. And if you look at like his damage potential, for all of that kind of stuff, it's through the roof. So when you've got someone like Will that's sitting in your team, which you're gonna use, him for most of your trials, you're not gonna have to worry about a BC gen. And just kind of like Itchy was just saying in there, if she had a fill, an actual like a stronger fill on hit, she does have her one on her extra skill. Go ahead and kind of pull that up here. She does have a for her extra skill, she has the 2 to 3 BC when hit for 3 turns on her BB or SBB. Now, it's not that great. You've got better from Medina. I think that's what you were saying earlier, Mira. For Medina, for Diana, for Bestie, for all of these different units. Now, the good thing is she has it on her BB, which, for a 2 to 3 fill on a BB, that's pretty good. I would definitely give her that, having that utility. When you're looking at, kind of a little more difficult content, when you are struggling for that BB gauge, when you are trying to kind of pull that through and you're like, hey, I am right in the middle of this trial, I am like, running this clutch, I've got to get, I've got to push through and get this thing done, it's not really going to help as much. Because when you're getting hit and you're like, oh, hey, my mitigator is only like 1 hit away from getting a full BB gauge, and I can't mitigate this turn, and I don't have any more Fujins, and I could guard, but everybody's at like no HP, and I pull all of my HP back from my pseudo healer and from autoing, and I'm screwed. I don't know about you, I run into
That's
that
like
instance a
A
lot.
terrible situation.
A lot. That happens all the time to me.
That's-
Maybe I'm just unlucky. I don't know. Maybe I'm just unlucky.
Maybe.
Yeah, your
Maybe
RNG
just
is
you.
bad to you. It's fine.
What's that?
He said your RNG sucks.
Yeah, my RNG does suck. And like Itchy kind of said here, the problem with Will is that Trident plus Zinnia make him almost useless. Yeah, I honestly, I don't know about Zinnia. Trident though, with his hot and his BC fill, he does edge out Will a lot. I would probably say that if you're using Trident for your base defense potential, that Will would actually work pretty well for him. Will could still be able to cover the hots, whereas Trident does not get your heals over time from the SPB. You do need to have kind of that stuff set up. So it really depends on your team setup. You can kind of work things in pretty well in a lot of different ways, but I do think that these new units definitely do have a lot of potential. I was disappointed in Andaria. I really wish that they'd kind of helped her fill a little more exclusive of an area than right now. I mean, yes, it's okay to have a status null and cleanse person that is also a BC BB fill, all that kind of stuff, and has some utility for status afflictions, for the poison and for paralysis. So yeah, she definitely does have some utility. You can use her. Talking with Priya earlier, he said you could use her in raids, things like that would work pretty well. But I do think that overall, for kind of a little more of a broader purpose and usage, and especially for the slot, I mean, Zedus takes the cake with this. That's just me. That's just me. I don't know about you guys. I think he in filling so many different units roles and freeing up a lot of spaces, especially freeing up another potential leader slot, for him acting as kind of a critical, that gives you essentially two sparkly buffs. In which you could use someone like Raga or Roa to help kind of return some of the BC gen kind of stuff that you might be missing, and also help with the HP. So like Mira said, I think Roa would definitely work well as a secondary leader in conjunction with Zedus, and probably Arc too. I would actually be very impressed with a Zedus lead with an Arc friend. So I really with everything that we've got, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of room for some new comps to kind of come out, and personally, I'm excited. I like to kind of see how this turns out.
Itchy brought up a good point.
Mhm.
Zedus, FH mid lead, or FH mid, Dion leads.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Zedus and Nemeth.
Yeah,
Instead of doing a dual Kira.
We are actually not gonna be we're not gonna be set up to do that just yet. For too much longer. I'm sorry, not just yet. Yeah, we're not gonna have that too much longer. I think we're coming up on FH19 right now. If I recall correctly, I believe it's
we have one more.
Yeah, one more until we hit the mid nerf.
Top set.
And then it's not gonna be too fun, not gonna be easy, but we'll try and do what we can. So yeah, all in all, I'm glad that we have these new options. I'm definitely, nice to kind of see some of these new additions, but we'll have to start kind of seeing how they can start working in with the new meta.
JP. Slowly.
What's that? Catching up to JP?
We're slowly catching up to JP.
Okay, yeah.
Unlike Japan, though, we're actually getting those extra trials.
Mhm.
Especially that Gazia? Forgot his name.
Yeah, I'm excited for this new trial, the one after Arc. That's gonna be fun. I need some new content. I'm kind of starving right now. But I'm kind of waiting here. I want to go.
Hey, not as bad as Japan, though.
Grand Quest. There's a new Grand Quest. Grand Quest, right? One that they added.
Oh yeah, I got owned.
Let me see. No, it's not a Grand Quest. Was it a
No,
GGC?
Shield hurts. No, it's a Grand Quest. Do it the Melchiel? And Michelle?
Wait, you said it's a Grand Quest? Saga of Heroes?
Yeah, the newest one that came out right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
There we go. Awesome.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard?
Yeah.
I'll have to stream this later. To stream this later, we'll kind of see how this goes. Fun. Let's see, 2 squads.
Oh yeah.
Fan.
Oh.
You can see that.
I mean, yeah, fans needs to be accepted.
It's a 4 flag. It's a 4 flag.
Oh.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
I don't know how I feel about it. I think what Graw was a 4 flag, wasn't it? Graw's was a pain.
Yeah, but you had 4 squads as well.
I think that would be a good
4
test
heroes
for Zedus. I want to see how Zedus does on that.
Good luck.
Mhm.
See what Graw's was. Yep, Graw's was a 4 flag. But see, okay, here was the thing too, is you could only have 4. You had to have 4 squads on Graw's. That was a pain. I couldn't deal with that. I was sitting there. I didn't even have the squad comp like cost, and I pretty much had everything leveled up to 7-star. I've got like 40 something 7 stars right now, and wasn't that far off when I did Graw. So I was
Did you have the cost for it?
I didn't have the cost, dude. Well, I was probably I think I was probably around 180, 170, 180, something like that when I was going for him. And I couldn't fill out a full team because I had all these 7-star units, but I didn't have any 6-star units. So it was like some squads, like literally, I didn't even have the units for it because I had evolved all of them. So lower cost units. So it was pretty hard. I'd like to see how how Zedus does on kind of this on this new one.
I mean, I'm very struggling with my units as it is.
Struggling with what?
I'm struggling with the Grand Quest of my units as it is.
Which ones are you working on right now?
When having too many 7 stars is your problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well...
Hey, Reg?
Reggie, fan needs to get accepted.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I bring him in here, though, I'm not going to be able to show the cams anymore. So... It's people keep moving around, and it's like shifting the cams everywhere and kind of messing up the presentation. So, I think we're probably. I mean, unless there was something else you guys kind of wanted to talk about, that's really it. I mean, we've kind of looked over all the stuff for Zedus and Andaria.
Farm those void chunks.
Yeah, farm those void chunks. And is
oh my
the
God, yeah,
GGC?
I have to do that.
Michelle's GGC, is that where That's not for their new spheres, is it?
No.
I hope not.
I
They
didn't think
haven't
so.
implemented that yet.
Kind of curious how long it'll take for them to do that. And what they'll have us do to
As
actually
we
get
speak,
those.
I'm fighting the Earth God.
What's that?
I'm getting Andaria 7-star right now.
Oh, are you? Nice.
I'm fighting the
Lucky.
Earth God.
I still need to grind for her Evo material.
Oh yeah, I gotta do that
not
too.
even
But, you know. What?
But yeah, this new Grand Quest, pretty tough.
Pretty tough, you said?
What squad did you use?
Yeah, I'm using double mitigator for the second squad. Because I've read that you do need one to survive.
Double mitigators?
Or you need to.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty rough. How does
Yeah,
that
for the
work?
75 Ultra Big Burst and 50 stack. Well, apparently, after 10 turns, Marshio pretty much does a ultimate attack. And you have to have 75% and 50% plus guard to survive,
Jeez, oh.
I think. Something along those lines.
Or
Yep.
or
And there goes my
AoE.
mitigators.
Is it AoE?
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Is what AoE?
I lost counter track. Or I lost count of turns.
Well,
Oh, the Grand Quest. But yeah.
yeah, I think that that really should kind of cover everything here. You know, as far as all the stuff that we've been able to kind of accomplish. You know, just here recently, you know, we kind of talked some about stuff that Zedus has a lot of potential for, and you know, as well as Andaria, you know, and kind of helping to fill out some of the BC leads, or BC positions. You know, leader skill, it's all right. You know, it's nothing really too new. Nothing too special. The utility is
Could be worse.
great on her BB. You know, that's awesome for the stuff that's actually susceptible to it. For the paralysis and for the paralysis and things like that. So you know, she does work well for you know, some kind of things, but you know, again, nothing that a lot of units don't really to have. I just think it kind of conflicts, you know, too much. That's just my personal opinion. You know, I'm not really too keen on the whole filling in a BC role as well as a, you know, status cleansing. There's just so many options for both, and you know, she can fill both, you know, pretty well for some stuff, but not entirely, you know, completely the best, you know, for either one. Especially when you're looking at damage potential.
I mean, she
some of
does
those
give
units.
a 7 turn.
Well,
She does
yeah,
give a 7 BC for 3 turns.
that's, and you know, that's pretty pretty hefty. That is nice, and you know, she does give the BC fill on hit with her extra skill. So, you know, I think really the biggest
You don't
thing
even
for
have
me.
to use her extra skill too.
What's that?
I mean, like, let's say you don't like the extra skill, you know, let's say, oh, like, you're too picky about it, you don't have to use it, you know, it's not there. You can use another sphere, you know, you just don't have to use it.
Yeah, well, the
Give
only
her
difference is too, you know,
Gravis
you're
and
losing that
something else,
40%
I don't know.
attack, which if you're using her to her full potential,
Yeah.
that would include using her Brave Burst. Because quite frankly, if you don't need her for the status ailments and for the paralysis and poison, there's no reason to be using her. when you've got a Medina or a Bestie or anything like that, there, like honestly, there is you know, unless you are just trying to, you know, fit in something else inside of a status cleanse, prevent role, like if you don't want to use Adea for some reason, if you don't want to use Elmo for some reason, if you don't want to use Cannon, you know, or any of the others that you have in your build, if for some reason you don't want to use any of them, then she would fill that role great, you know. But outside of that, if you're just using her for the BC fill, there's better alternatives. You know, I think that, you know, she definitely does have her place with stuff. She does have a lot of potential. It really depends on the team. Zedus, though, quite frankly, it doesn't matter what your team comp is, because you know, Spark leads, yes, they're a dime a dozen. Crit leads, yes, they're a dime a dozen. But Spark and crit leads and attack, defense, down buffers, and all of that all combined into one unit. You know, that's just that you're looking at 3 huge roles right there, and the one unit covers all of those like perfectly. Not mediocre, not like it kind of does it just a little bit. No, it like straight flat out pretty much covers everything. So yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. All in all, you know, I'm excited for them both. You know,
I mean,
probably find utility in both of them and see how they fare.
Well, thank God I don't have a Bestie or a Medina, so I can use Andaria.
You can use Andaria. You have a reason now. Wait, do you have Diana? Do you have Diana?
No.
Okay. Oh yeah, it. Now her low hit count. That's something that will kind of and you know, in that case, the 30 BC fill might be good because our hit rate is pretty terrible. But you know, then again, so is Zedus's. So all right, well, I think that should be it for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. So thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate you all coming.
Are we planning to do demos next time?
What's that?
Mark, Max is 5'4".
Are we planning to do demos next time?
Our demos? What demos?
Demonstration.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Demonstrations of what?
Demonstration.
What are we gonna demonstrate?
Andaria's like
What is
underrated.
YouTube on?
Oh, yeah. I'll
Quote unquote usefulness.
Zedus
quote-unquote.
OP.
We'll probably have to postpone when
Let's
we do
one-shot Carl.
do the analysis. You know, I was only able
One
to.
shot like, who can't?
I was only able to 7-star him and get him UBB'd, so I'm gonna have to do. yeah, Costas. Yeah, you gonna pay for it? Do 5 summons?
We need sponsors, man.
Yeah, we need sponsors.
I could be a sponsor. I sponsor.
All right,
I
well,
sponsor, myself.
you guys for joining us. You know, I appreciate everyone stopping by. You know, if you guys like
Vietnam.
to see some more of us, you know, please feel free to go ahead and favorite us. This actually is our very first stream, and pretty much everything that we've done, you know, hopefully we'll be able to kind of come up with some new things, and potentially kind of smooth things out a little bit more for you guys, and make things a little easier for you. So once again, I'd just kind of like to thank you guys for joining us, and go ahead and you know, feel free to touch base with any of this if you guys have any questions or concerns, or if you guys have something that you'd like to see for us to do. You know, by all means, we'll be here for you to kind of, you know, just let us know, and we'll get something set up for you. So again, thank you guys, appreciate it, and I'll talk with you later.
Peace out.
Later.